The Crash Course Podcast is brought to you in part by DerbyParts.com,
Overkill Derby products at OverkillDerby.com.
Boat Lockwood Motorsports, and the 2015 Keystone National. Scioppa Racing and ScioppaRacing.com. Ultimate Derby and Blizzard Bash 2015. Demo Derby Master. Reckless Abandon Derby apparel at RecklessAbandonGear.com. And Derby Inc. magazine. Live it, breathe it, be it, Derby Inc. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt. Good afternoon, good evening, welcome to episode number 112 of the Crash Course, looking back on...
Batmobile.
What? Yeah, right? You threw me off.
Sorry.
Threw me off. Episode number 112 of the Crash Course, looking back on what we've done, where we've been through the course of 2012, sort of get some of this stuff out of our system before we get to the awards show and the New Year's Eve party coming up on Thursday. Looking forward to that. Quick order of business. Rick Clark announcing today that he will be raffling off a GM distributor clamp over there at the party, so that's going to be fun to see him. Chatted with him a little bit. He wanted to know how far we were from Buffalo. I said, if you just keep going until you think you can't go any farther, drive another half hour and you're here. Come all the way down 90, head east until you see Waterloo, turn south, and you can't miss the Holiday Inn from there. Pretty easy to make that work. Brian joining us here in the studio along with Ben. Ben gearing up for a busy night. Let's see, it would be 2 nights from now. Wednesday night, he's going to be burning the midnight oil as he teaches Sam Bando and Josh Decker how to build it. What's wrong? What? Did I say something wrong?
No.
No, I never accused Bando of knowing not how to weld like the other person that's going to be there. So
Yeah, that's kind of sticky how that works sometimes.
Sticky, interesting adjective given the people that are going to be there. So, anyway, moving right along.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Marquardt, Crash Course Podcast.
But, 95 people are going to be there, somewhere around there. It's a handful of local people making the trip out. And
We're going to have a burnout contest out in the parking lot, right?
They didn't say we couldn't.
Awesome. Maybe go across the road, do some donuts.
When I said, what's your take on loud motors and burnouts in the parking lot? And they said, well, nobody's ever really done that before. I said, I wouldn't worry about it then.
hey,
Leave it at that.
Before midnight, they can get their quota on tickets for Waterloo PD. So.
Or state troopers, deputies, or whoever happens to be working.
If there's whoever's working that night, feel free. Stop by. Say hi. No, I think we'll be in real good shape. Still gotta finalize a couple details. Ran into minor sticky situation today with the Holiday and about a few indoor arrangements and what they do and don't believe is proper ventilation. So we're going to be working on that tomorrow, finalizing exactly what they are going to allow and what they aren't going to allow. But I don't anticipate anything too awful major. What are you chuckling at?
Nothing. Part of that pre-show talk we always have.
Oh, man.
The allowing, not allowing. I could say that ain't going to be allowed. So.
Yeah. Especially if Ben has any say on it.
Apparently, they get testy about things.
Sometimes.
Yep.
But
sometimes.
They did ask if I wanted any additional insurance. I said it should be a pretty calm and quiet party. I wouldn't worry anything about it. They said, should there be any concerns about the wedding that's also going on that day? And I said, other than Darren Brown, no.
Just prepare them for extra guests.
Yep. Well, do they have something different on their menu that we can go over and sample, or?
Usually the food's in the opposite adjoining room. So you could.
They do Brian. They do have one thing that we don't have, and that's bridesmaids.
We're all married though.
I'm just saying. How far do you want this to spiral out of control this early?
Well, I haven't been in trouble in probably 15 minutes.
As a 6-foot blonde there, you'll be all right. So how far you want to go with this?
Wow. Yeah, that was a great episode. We'll see you New Year's Eve.
The one thing that I did forget to do is tag Daniel Orton our show post. I might better do that now. Cameo. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Ben Haas. Lives in Canoga. Right on.
Actually, Daniel sent me a snap. He's He's got his Blizzard Bash car pulled in his garage and got the Salamander going. I think he said it's 16 out right now.
Yeah, it's pretty chilly there.
Supposed to snow. And then I also, before I left, I was texting with our buddy Pork Chop, Kyle Polly.
67 down or 50.
Yeah, but
something.
they've had 6 inches of rain and it's still coming down. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Did you see the grill that he got for Christmas?
I did.
Did you see what they were cooking on the grill?
I did. Pork Chop is world renowned for his cooking, so hopefully we bump into him somewhere at the Derby this year.
They're building the Ark in Illinois.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's bad out there too. Crazy. Hopefully
Lot of rain.
everybody's staying safe and people's possessions are
Not floating into other
Not
people's
floating, yeah,
possessions.
Instead of snowmobiles, are riding jet skis. So.
Actually, if you get a snowmobile going fast enough, it'll go on water.
Oh yeah, you just
Oh,
gotta
yeah, I
keep
rode
skis
on
on.
water all the
Yeah,
time.
you just gotta. It's nothing.
Yep.
He's got a lot of miles on a snowmobile.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Oh yeah. A lot of miles.
Do you tune those to run like your derby cars?
No, I don't tune those by ear. But I usually run them wide open when I'm running.
All right,
yeah.
fair enough. That answers that. Darren Brown sent me a screen grab of what the forecast is coming from his hometown up in Buffalo, Minnesota, across the Midwest as he drives out here,
Shit.
and it's blue and purple the whole way between snow and freezing rain, and then even heavier rain the further he comes across. So everybody that's making the drive out got to be careful. Sam Bando and Randy Maslowski due in on Wednesday. They're going to be going
Leaving
down
tomorrow?
to. They're going to be in Josh's place down there working on those cars, and then Brandon Tyson will be touching down on Wednesday right about 2:30 in Rochester. So he'll be getting into town. He and Sam both flying in. They'll be staying with us for a couple days, and found out that their friends, Brandon's friend, Amy.
Brandon's got friends.
He's apparently got 2.
Wow.
Because he's got his wife and somebody else.
Cool. Good for you.
His best friend from high school, Amy, who lives down in New Jersey, God love her. She lives up and works in New York City. She's making the drive up for the New Year's Eve party, and they're going to be staying. They're going to be staying in the Finger Lakes for the first time. They've never been up here. They have their fingers crossed on a wine tour, but New Year's Day it's closed. Saturday, if they want to go tackle it by themselves, by all means. We've got Kelsey's birthday that weekend, so we won't be doing any wine touring on the road. But our house, if we're still alive, why not try it, right?
Think you'll be ready to have a cocktail again by Saturday?
By Saturday morning, wake up early.
That's Chris Marquardt we know and love.
This is the way we do it.
This is how we roll.
They'll definitely get a good wine tour up here. That's-
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
I'm sure it'll beat anything in New Jersey
Yeah, they
without effort.
don't have many wineries down there.
Actually, if you want to sightsee a little bit of taste of home, drive up 414 and look to your left. A lot of New Jersey trash in that dump.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt.
Oh, just straight from the Holiday Inn.
Yeah,
You can see
easy.
it from there.
Sightsee.
Mount Trashmore.
Yeah, without doubt. So those guys coming in, congratulations to Todd Height pulling down a championship in our fantasy league, and then he beat me for 3rd place, which brings my record against Todd in fantasy league football to something like 0 forever. I don't think I've ever been able to beat that guy. So he's got the back-to-back championship. And in our fantasy league, he beat my father-in-law, Bob. He came down 2nd his first time out, so he was pretty excited about that. And then Todd taking 3rd place in Jeremy Gully's league, so that was pretty cool. He was excited about that, bordering on even bragging to the point where it's just about insufferable. But, hey, it's cool. He's a Vikings fan. He doesn't get to brag much.
Yeah, I saw that post. He said something about that game, and I was just like,
Whack the pack, I believe.
no. He said something about how the Giants, how the game went last night. He was good with it or something. But yeah, I mean, you know what? Every squirrel's got to find a nut, and apparently that blind squirrel's found a nut this year. So go Pack, or go Vikings.
Go
Right out
Vikings,
Ice
nothing.
Age.
So we're going to get into a little bit on what we saw this year and what we liked and what we didn't like. And you were talking before the show, Brian, about your favorite heat of the year. We've promised everybody that we were going to do that, and we're going to only have an isolated amount of time on New Year's Eve. The goal right now is to do the show from like 8 to 9, and then 9 o'clock, shut everything down, kick over to music, finish the awards up before we shut everything down podcast-wise, and then get into some of the raffles and revelries through the course of the night. So one of the things that we're not going to be able to probably squeeze time in, because we're going to have Randy on the show and Sam on the show and Bolton on the show, and I guess Brian's going to appear for a few minutes, is some of the places that we've been and what we liked. And you were talking about the Wire Class at Bash for Cash as basically the heat of the year in your perspective.
Yeah, there was a lot of excitement about that heat going in, and They said go, and those guys went. I mean, it was flat on the floor, just driving. And that's I've said it 100 times, and I'm sure people get sick of hearing it. You know, that's what I grew up on, was watching guys drive like that and just making junk instantly. And great heat. Just, you know, hats off to Klinger. He anytime you can win the event and get Mad Dog, you know, you got to be. That's impressive. Klinger was hung up and got loose, and they had the guy that was second that was still running. He put a couple nasty shots on him at the end of the show to end it, and just without a doubt, that was the favorite heat. I mean, they were definitely getting after it, and really looking forward to this year's edition. I believe that the rules have been changed to where you have to have a 4-point cage in the car, which is probably an excellent idea. The way they were making junk last year,
Not too bad of a decision anyway.
but looking forward to it. I mean, you know, there's some rumors about who's going and who's not going and what's going to be there, and I definitely think my prediction now is that it'll be the heat of the event again this year at Bash for Cash. That's just my humble opinion, but I really feel like they're gonna, you know, the bar's been set high, and I feel like they're gonna do everything they can to beat last year's heat. So hopefully it's as good or better than it was last year.
Ben, what do you think?
I wasn't there, but I seen videos of it. I mean, you know, I'll agree pretty much with Brian. I mean, for a heat that I actually physically seen, I mean, it's really hard to choose. You know, I mean, we go to Blizzard Bash every year, and we see numerous hard hitting, ass kicking heats out there.
Just from the opening round, there was 5, so there's like, what, 13 heats of the year that you could pick from right there.
Yeah,
no
so
doubt.
I mean, it probably would come down to my most favorite one out of the whole year that I seen, watched, whatever. I would have to agree with Brian. I mean, Bash for Cash, that wire class was definitely right up there. I mean, it's out of characteristic for that area.
Yeah.
For guys to drive. Don't get me wrong, they drive hard. They drive hard. It you know, but not all
For the
throughout
whole
the whole
thing.
heat.
Yeah, they pick 'em.
That whole heat from when they, like Brian said, when they said go till it was done.
Well, that one dude, I didn't even know what his name was. He saw the green flag. He backed up the length of the track, went back end to back end. The back tail light went to the C post, and the back end was sitting sideways in the car.
Yeah.
He made one hit.
Yeah.
But
Happy as could be, though.
He was elated.
So I mean, that's what I'd have to agree with you on that. I mean, it's.
I think the one thing, I think Ben's agreed with me before, but I think the one thing I like about that style heat too is that I like to see stuff get junked. I mean, Ben is definitely a builder.
That was there.
Ben is about building stuff, like, you know, really putting a lot of time into a build. But I think as just Derby fans, I think we like seeing stuff like that get junked. I mean, when you see cars bent, you know, 6 ways to Sunday coming off the track, that's what I really enjoy as a Derby fan. And I mean, when it comes down to it, that's what we are as big fans. But I think that's probably one of the reasons I really like
And
that
I
heat.
enjoy the hard hitting derbies. I mean, I'm a firm believer if you're going to build a car and put all the time and effort in the car and build hard ass cars, then drive them the way they're built. You know, and a lot of people don't agree with that theory, which, you know, that's, you know, is it the right theory, wrong theory? In my eyes, that's right theory. You know, if you're going to spend all that time in the garage to build something that hard, then go out and drive it as hard as it's built.
Yeah.
You know, if I was to put a percentage, you know, it's probably a 75-25 split. You know, 25% of people agree with that, 75% don't. You know, because they look at the amount of time and the money, and they want to run them as much as they can.
Yep.
But no, I mean, it's tough going to see all them shows and be at all them shows and to pick one specific thing to stand out, because, you know, really a majority of them were great shows.
Absolutely.
I mean, in terms of finish,
Absolutely.
you were talking about the finish per se, Brian, at that wire class show. So where does Sam Bandos finish at Crossroads with the Imperials rank compared to that?
I don't count that one just because I wasn't there.
Okay.
I mean, for stuff absolutely. I mean, that heat was also very, very impressive. The Imperial heat. I mean, Bandau was making junk in a
He
hurry.
finished it the same way Bandau did at that show.
Yeah.
He finished it identical that way.
Yep.
The only thing missing was the concrete blocks behind it.
Yeah.
You know, that's the only difference, really.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
and so.
And I'm not slighting any other shows or any other drivers or any other heats. I'm just saying that for what I like, that was the best of what I like. I mean, but every show I went to, I can tell you things I liked from every show I was at. I mean, there's without a doubt every show I have a highlight, stuff that I really enjoyed. But for hands-on one heat, it would be the wire class from Bash for Cash. What about you? What about you, Chris Marquardt? You never give us the answer. You just ask the question.
You just ask them.
I do.
What's the answer, Chris Marquardt?
I have
Put the
no
camera
idea.
back on you so we can see you.
I can't do that.
Stammering.
It's broken. It's broken.
I see.
I don't know how to. I mean, you've got JC Molly's in the stock feature at Keystone Nationals, which has got to be right up there. You got Josh's qualifying heat from the Spring Superstock show. You've got Dan Godfrey in the first heat on the track at Kings of Old School, which we talked about quite a bit last week. You've got Eric Moulet, who did remarkable things in a Cadillac. You got Eric Remington, who was in a heat of 4 cars. All three of the other cars came out of his shop, and he stood the nose in 2 shots on a Diplomat, put it reverse, and drove away. The carburetor had shoved I think it was the carburetor. He said had pushed back so far that it was almost touching his dash bar.
Nice.
So you've got that to weigh in there, and I'm taking nothing away from. I'm trying to even the field as best as possible with this too, because like you said, you don't want to take anything away. Then you look at Blizzard Bash is here, County Fair's here. You've got this guy here. If you just try and make all things equal and look at just an isolated heat, it's very, very tough. I think Eric should be in the conversation, but a lot of people don't know it because it happened at a county fair. But when you have a grandstand full of 3,500, 4,000 people.
They all know about it.
They all know. They all know.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt. I think Josh should certainly somebody that needs a little bit of credit for
well,
that.
and that's the thing. I mean,
and thankfully you put your number on that car that Josh drove, so it was hard.
And I touched on that last week. I mean, as a demo derby fan,
it was a good year.
It was great. As a fan for on track action, wire class, on track action and heartwarming story, Josh Decker all day. I mean, that was that was.
But is that more of a heartwarming story than what Jimmy Ellman was able to do in Dunkirk?
I wasn't at Dunkirk.
Or
though.
Jesse Howe.
Or Jesse Howe. You're right.
Down in Kings of Old School, it's
very true.
Every show I think has its special point.
Very true.
This year, I think just about every show this year had a special moment or a special point in it.
Jimmy Johnson driving out with that young man on his lap, steering out
Team
for
Weston.
Team Weston.
And then they won.
Yeah, and then they won. I was,
Same thing as to strike on heats. I mean, the father son in the trucks.
Oh yeah,
Kings Old School.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
They turned a lot of shit inside out in that truck heat.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, it's hard to just put your finger on one because the year was filled full of a ton.
I think the Leno family. It was
Bryce.
Bryce ended up winning at Blizzard Bash,
Mm-hmm.
I believe, and then it was his father's 40th year run in derbies.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And he ran all over the place.
Yeah, he did.
He had a nice run at Crossroads.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's tough. I've had a bunch of people ask me, and this is a question that I absolutely hate to get. Hate to get it. Who's the best promoter? It's like, not touching that one. I know there's a lot of guys out there that do an absolutely fantastic job of taking care of drivers. I think Tim and Russ are way up there on that list. And right there with Ultimate Derby and Sam. Those are probably the 2 guys that are leading the charge 2 groups that are leading the charge without question. But Bo is right there too.
Well, and you got our friend up in Canada there.
Impact
Motorsports.
Yeah, they're doing something pretty special up there too.
There's
I think if I'm wrong,
how about Fairbanks Demo Derby? Just got to be in the equation, right?
But how about I think it's getting to where now where we can name. It's easier to name a bad promoter than it is a good one. Mm-hmm. And we've made known who we think doesn't do a good job. But I think that promoters as a whole are picking their game up. I really do.
They have to. I mean, I think they finally seen it. Dude, I gotta step up my game, or I'm gonna get left in the dust because it's happening. I mean, guys and builders are not just building a shit ton of cars to run at every little derby there is in their state or in their area. They're now
picking and choosing.
Picking because there is a group of promoters that have stepped up the game. They're putting it out there. They're treating their drivers the way they should be, and then people are going to those shows.
No doubt, I agree.
I mean, you got people traveling all the way across the country to go to Kansas every year because of the way Sam treats his shows.
Twice a year now.
Yeah.
Right. Well, then you got people all over going to Courthouse, going to Bash for Cash.
Chillicothe, yeah.
You know, that's just to name two. You know, two off the top of my head. That's not saying that there's other promoters out there not doing the same thing.
Well, how about
real quick? Jake Leno won at Blizzard Bash, not Bryce.
Okay.
It was Jake. Sam weighing in on that. Here's another one. Josh DeVevick at Kings of Old School in his used Rivy in the kicker class.
Yeah, in the kicker class. I mean, he drove it. I mean, that's what I
drove
mean.
hard.
You can't just put
your finger.
I
would think, as far as promoter goes, I would think, and I'm not knocking any, but I think right now, as far as national derbies, I think that I think Ultimate Derby with Sam Williams and I think Smash It with Tim and Russ have got to be the two at the top
that we've been to.
Because I mean, you know, they're bar none, they're the two most populated. They have the most cars. They have the most people there watching. And the way you get that is by treating everybody well. Mm-hmm. You know, fans, inspectors, drivers, builders, you know, sponsors, everybody. And it's, you know, but there's also a lot of guys that are on their heels. I mean, how about our buddy Randy up in Minnesota, who's for the third year in a row is going to have 140 cars and 3,000 or 4,000 people.
This will be the first time that they sold out.
Right?
Yeah, they're not waiting. They're not waiting with open spaces. They're sold out. If you bring a car to the gate that's not pre-registered, you're not running.
And that's a different that's a different level.
Yeah, you know, absolutely. And it's not a knock, but I mean, as far as national, you know, I would say right now it's definitely Smash It and it's definitely Ultimate Derby. You know, but I mean, you know, somebody like Randy, you got to give him, you know, a big, you know, the guys that last year, and I think, you know, last year Josh and Brett did a great job, you know, and this year Josh has kind of stepped away and Brett's doing it. Hopefully it goes well for him. So, you know, but I mean, locally, I mean, Bo Lockwood. I mean, Bo did something pretty amazing last year in Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. You know,
way over $75,000 in prize money.
I mean,
and then he's got his banquet coming up, not this weekend, but a week 12th? From Saturday. It's the 9th. The 9th. It's at. It's on the Warsaw Fire Hall in Hazen, Pennsylvania. That's coming up. And they're going to be giving away, the top 10 prizes are going to be given away. Somebody there is leaving with a built Redline motor.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet you, I guess who takes that?
Who?
Roman.
Yes. I wasn't sure where you were going.
But I mean, that's, you know, that's an incredible, you know.
Just ruined the speakers.
Sorry.
I
coughed. I'm sorry.
Like I said, I feel you got promoters at different levels.
Oh, absolutely.
And you hit the nail on the head with that, Brian. I mean, the top two in my eyes at a national multi-day event is definitely Ultimate Derby and Bash for Cash.
Smash It, yeah.
Smash it, and you know, people got their opinions, but that's from what I seen, and I'm going back for years from what I seen, and I seen Courthouse. I seen when it was turned back the clock when Don Long had it, and how it's grown and grown and grown and constantly grown.
Yeah.
And same thing from what we talked with Sam Williams, that show out in Topeka. I mean, we talked with Mr. Cook, you know.
Yep.
The first couple years, he was like, ooh, geez, I don't know if I should have done this.
Yep.
And now he's calling Sam up saying, dude, we got to have another event. This is awesome. Doubt. We went through 2,000 pounds of potatoes for French fries. You know, and just it's just they have helped push and helped progress the sport at a rate that it's not causing dead spots.
Yeah.
You know, it's constantly evolving and progressing, and it keeps the interest in it to where other places might progress it and then be dormant for a while.
Yeah.
And like pull the reins back. Wait a minute, we're going too fast. They don't believe in that. They believe in let's go the natural progression. If it goes fast, it goes fast. Whatever pace it is, and run with it. And that's why they're so successful.
Absolutely.
And that's why I think Impact Motorsports in Canada, I think that's why he's so successful.
Yeah.
We're talking a different country there.
Yeah,
it's
no
close,
doubt.
but I mean, it's a different country. But I mean, and I don't want to leave them out because from what we've heard in the short amount of time that we've talked to that guy, I mean, he has the same concept. It's just in a different different country basically.
Yeah.
Canada's real close, but it's still a different country, and they have different different build ideas and different way different ideas. Not way different, but just different from what we're used to.
So after, let's bring this back to a local level now. What about Thursday night at Morris? I mean, I think they turned a bunch of stuff inside out in less than 10 minutes.
But they always have. But Morris, Brookfield, I mean, those type of drivers down there are. If you don't stand on the gas, you're sandbaggers. Point blank. If you're not running wide open, people get pissed. But yet there's people who get pissed because they run wide open and they only run for a few minutes and then they're madder than a hornet. Well, you just got to use your head, I mean, there's the guys out there that normally run. They call them sandbaggers, but guess what? They lay off of it for the first few minutes of the heat, 4 or 5 minutes of the heat, and then wrap up the trash when it's over.
Right.
They got a lot of wins under their belt. I mean, Chad Winnie, Greeny, Greeny's daughter, Winnie's daughter. I mean, them guys, Bob Dixon, Jeff Dixon when he was running, Dan Bolton, he likes running hard, but I'm here to tell you he laid back a little bit this time around, and he had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Down there.
But once he did get into it, he was serious.
Right.
The four barrels open going by you.
When he goes by me and opens the 4 barrels up, I'm like, yeah, this is good. But there's, it's just strange. The way people, from the outside in looking, and me as a builder and a driver on top of that, I understand both sides of it, but there's people that don't understand it and just try to, bitch and complain about these drivers, and that's why, we got guys going out that are going to run the wire class from out here, the guys that run Morris, guys that run Brookfield, and ran Kings of Old School, and they're not going out there to bag, they're going out there to run like they like to run, and
absolutely.
But but these are promoters, and I don't give a shit. I'll go out on a limb. These are promoters that need to step it up.
Why?
They need to progress with some of the other shows. Otherwise, they're going to get left in the dust.
No doubt.
Because, and that's the reality of it.
Yep.
It's so if you're listening, step up. Step up to the plate and do us right.
Yep, no doubt.
Well, I got my Facebook up just in case they are listening. I'll be sure to relay.
No, I mean that's the way it is.
What about some of the guys that we've had the chance to get to know? I mean, we've been able to travel. I think we've traveled the most this year that we've ever have. I mean, looking at going out to Winter Slam again already in just a matter of a couple weeks. I think that's something like 6 weeks away.
40 days, I think I saw a countdown on Facebook.
If you can believe that, we're right on top of that. But I mean, the number of times that we've had the chance to see Brendan Tyson, we had the chance to hang out with Steve Blankenship out there in Utah at the Kings of Destruction show. I mean, Rick Clark, we've come across him a number of times.
We saw Rick a lot.
Ron McClung
saw Ron a
another
lot.
guy, we saw him a number of times.
His son Brian ran Bash for Cash this year, made the feature with Thunderbird. He had a good year. Won a couple shows up home. It's just, and that's the thing is I don't know about you guys, but I never, in my Derbian, I never expected to know the names that I used to read on We Crash or that I read on Facebook. You know what I mean? And now, thankfully, we've got to know so many of them, and there's so many good guys. Just great. And I think we've touched that, it's awesome to meet the drivers, but we've also met so many fans, and just Derby fans in general. Hey, how you doing? Just stand and talk. And, it's so awesome to get out and meet these people that have that are fans and have watched the sport for years in different places, and it's just awesome. I mean, I won't say exactly what, but I've some of the bigger names in the sport I've been talking to lately, and just asking them the same question and just kind of seeing what their answer is. And at some point, I'm going to throw it out when we don't have anything going on and we can talk about it. But
pre-show conversation.
No, this will be on there. But just to talk to these guys and hear a little bit of their history and how they started and stuff like that. It's cool, and I'm really feel lucky that we're able to go out and do it. It's really cool. Really
cool.
Cool.
It actually validates. I mean, it validates what we're doing and what we try to do. And you think you always have in your head,
you as a builder, driver. You said it validates what
we as a group.
No, we as a group. Everybody. It validates this crash course. Basically, in my opinion, it validates talking to these people and talking to fans and talking to drivers. And big name drivers, small name drivers, just drivers in general, saying, "Jesus, it's awesome. It's great what you guys do. I'm glad you're doing this. It's just they're so happy for it, and it's a validation thing.
I think one of the guys that really comes to mind with that is Matt Ertman.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That same kind of thing. It's like somebody that you probably wouldn't pick him out.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those guys that I feel really lucky that we've got to know. He and Paul both with Crossroads have been great. But we knew Matt when he was running Winter Slam.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And his brother Jeremy.
Yep.
And from that show, and obviously, I mean, we've known the Lancasters pretty well for a long time. I mean, but I got to tell you, it was still pretty cool when Christmas cards came this year, and one of them was from the Magician. That was pretty badass.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
But the other thing there is the people that I don't know, maybe this is the wrong word. The people that I'm close with aren't the people that aren't necessarily the same people that Ben's close with. They're not necessarily the same people that Brian's close with. The people, the builders and the drivers that Brian talks to are a different group of drivers than Josh talks to.
Mm-hmm.
And Ben, obviously, he's just educating driver upon driver on how to build their car.
I'm not educating nobody. No, by no means, do not take that on that content. No.
Actually, we know that's not true because Ben's never on Facebook.
No, he's not. Not very often. But no, and we've touched on it a million times. It's just it's cool. Hopefully, we can get to a few new places and meet some new people this year, and get back.
I don't know if we are going to be able to get to new places this year because it looks like we're going back every place we went to last year.
That's all right. That's good too. That's good too. I would like to go back to Utah and take Ben with us. I think Ben would have a good time in Utah. Hopefully, if there's any promoters out in Utah, give us a call. We'd love to come out there and do a show.
I think Ben needs to come down to Woodstock this year, just once.
Ben would probably have a good time down there too.
I'd have a good time down there. There's no doubt. I'm probably gonna have some free time on my hands. So they're definitely into some road trips.
Him and Gokenhauer could get together and mix their minds and see what they can come up with.
Oh, definitely. Gokenhauer's got the same mindset as I have. I seen that with his wagon.
Yeah, that wagon was nasty.
Take 5 cars and build one.
No doubt. All it takes is welded wire.
Yeah.
Did you see Lancaster got his Winter Slam car home?
Yeah, I see that.
I see you running a Bird now.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like seeing all the stuff get wrecked
I believe it was a 59 Thunderbird that he's got loaded up there. And then I saw on the Pennsylvania Facebook traders page, I saw a 63 Dodge that was for sale.
Mm-hmm.
So Brandau going to hook up to that and take it back?
I don't know because that's a little too new for what he's talking about.
Yeah.
He wants to go. He wants to go
50s.
way back, which is.
I would think with the connections he has in Utah, they could find. If they're going to find him, you'd either find it in Utah or Alaska.
Utah or California.
Stop talking.
Yeah, or California. Did you see?
True. I didn't think about that.
Did you see?
That was not the place that I was thinking of when he was talking. Anyway, I don't want to say too much. Anyway, you were saying.
Did you see I don't know how busy you were over the weekend, but JC Molly's picked up a couple Imperials.
Mm-hmm.
I saw him driving
one. They're just about driving. Well, I put a thing up and I tagged Danielle, Todd Siopa's girlfriend. I said, Todd should get one of this because Todd had a 72 Impala driver that was wrecked after the terrible week they had in going to and back home from Blizzard Bash. Todd had some terrible luck. But his driver got wrecked. And I said, that's what Todd needs right there. She's like, nope, Todd wants a 60. And she must have asked Todd. Todd wants a 64 convertible with push button transmission. And I'm like, well, if you're gonna want a dream car, there you go. So I tagged Troy Taggett. He's like, oh yeah, you can find them. It's like 20, 30, 40 grand. That's all it takes. And I'm like, there you go, Daniel. I said, get Todd's checkbook and head for Cali.
Christmas is coming.
Christmas is coming. So, but it was neat, and that's something else cool that's happened. All these people that we've met, and you can kind of bounce things, from JC Molly's in Florida to me in New York to Danielle in Pittsburgh to Troy and Cali, and just awesome.
What you're finding out too is for the last 5 years, we've heard lots of people, oh, you can't find no more cars. Find no more cars. Cars are getting scarce. Everything else. Well, after the last couple years,
find anything you want.
Anything you want. It's like going through the drive-through.
Yep.
I mean, just order it and hope you don't get Leo Guts at the drive-through. And it's
absolutely.
Well, that's what I mean.
I don't get that reference, to be honest.
Leo Getz.
You get fucked
Lethal
at the
Weapon 2.
drive-through.
Okay. I was thinking that was some actual person.
It is Leo Getz from Lethal Weapon.
Okay. Leo Guts.
You never
always
Lethal
check
Weapon
what
2?
you get in the drive-through because they always screw you.
Right.
Yeah. I already said it once.
Because they know you're driving away and you're not going to come back. They had to drive through. I can't remember. Joe Pesci?
Yeah.
We're good.
Wow. If this was some like Dead Lincoln's or Dead Kennedy's song, you would know it instantly.
I would actually sing it.
Yeah.
But no, that's. I mean, there's a lot more cars out there than
no doubt.
in or out there, and it sparks me pretty good, and I'd like to
do some traveling to buy it.
Yeah, I mean, Josh and I talked. I mean, I'd like to go. He's done a lot on the East Coast and everything else.
Ben Haas's Lap of America.
No, I want to go West Coast. Yeah. I want to call up Troy Tagg and Troy, find a car or find 2 cars, find 3 cars, whatever. We're coming out a few days early. Find us a Derby and we're running.
That would be cool.
And
what we should do is we should send them with one of the handheld cameras, and they can just road trip it, just tape each other talking and what they.
I would drive out.
Oh.
And Josh is like, absolutely not. I'm not driving. I want to fly. I'm not driving that far. It's too far. I'll drive. I don't give a shit. I'll drive out there. Ain't no difference to me.
I don't know. That's a long ways to go.
It's a quick drive.
Same thing to Utah. I'd drive to Utah.
No, you got to fly to Utah.
I don't know if you remember when we drove to Kansas or Kentucky for that matter.
Yes, I do.
Or Arkansas.
All right.
Yeah.
Arkansas.
But
I think one of the coolest things of flying into or going into Utah was flying in because everything's flat, and then all of a sudden there's a big mountain range, and then you go just like this down into Salt Lake City. Then when you take off, you take the big bank to get back over the Rockies to get out. I thought that was pretty cool. Chris, on the other hand, didn't, but
nope.
Josh wasn't too excited either, but I thought it was pretty neat.
Did not find.
It might have been to be delirious from not sleeping for 2 days. I don't know what it was, but it was definitely.
Yeah, maybe we'll get back there.
That would be cool.
We're supposed to go back there to say this
not sleeping.
This year,
not sleeping for 2 days affects Josh Decker way more than it affects me.
Yeah. That Josh gets a little. He needs a Snickers bar.
Yeah.
He needs a Snickers after that sleep a couple days.
Just another Thrive.
He needs to double up with the Thrive.
It's another Thrive, but no, it's I don't know, it's just awesome.
So, Chris, what is on your bucket list for Demolition Derby?
I know one of them.
What's one of them?
Fairbanks,
Alaska.
Yes.
After Fairbanks, Alaska, what's next?
Just to retire. Be done with it.
From Chris Marquardt of Crash Course Podcast, where would you like to do the podcast?
Oh, man. I don't know.
Anywhere in America. Any derby in America.
If I could do just to take the show there or to stream it and call it and all that other stuff.
Show, stream it, call it. We're going to go for the Grand Slam. If we're going big time.
Big.
Honestly,
right
now for where we stand, I want to do Winter Slam. I really want to be able to put that online. Bad.
Yeah.
But we can't.
That would be nice to bring to the masses.
Because nobody nobody, if you haven't been there, you don't get it.
Yeah.
You don't understand. And even putting it on the live stream, we can't. I mean, it is technologically impossible to do this show where
Well,
it's at.
I mean, if Josh would just, if Josh would kick in and get us that
Stop.
satellite we need.
Stop right there. Stop. Because there's way more than what you're talking about.
I would hit points. I would hit four corners. Actually, not four corners, but diamond hit it. Pretty much we're on the East Coast. I'd go back up to Utah, go down to Texas, and over to California.
There's a couple shows in California that would be fun.
Yes.
That people wouldn't expect. I think it
Yeah.
would surprise them.
I'd like to go to Cali. That would definitely be cool to go to Cali for a show. Especially if everybody out there is as cool as Troy and Eric.
Everybody's laid back.
They're just,
Nobody's mad.
We walked in to our hotel for Blizzard Bash, and Eric Moulet, sorry if I butchered your name, Crash Course Podcast, and just a great guy. They stood there and talked with us for half the night in the bar.
Was that the one I was talking to?
Yes, had the bad wrist. He broke his wrist in Utah.
That was who I was talking to.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, that was great. I mean, guys, just some really cool.
Texas has some badass derbies.
Yeah, I'd like to go to Texas.
Texas has some badass derbies, some badass cars.
No doubt.
And, just shit didn't work out this year, but it's...
There's always
you know,
next.
You never know. There's always next year. Same thing with Utah. Utah, you guys did one show. Supposed to go back for another show. Shit didn't work out, so maybe next year. But this year coming up. But you never know.
I can't get over everything that's already in the hopper for next year. I mean, we're looking at Winter Slam. We're looking at Capital Carnage, Bash for Cash, already in the books. Crossroads, back in the conversation. Chaos in the Valley in October. Blizzard Bash in November. I mean,
How about this?
we're talking about Fairbanks in August. You know what I mean? It's and we got a couple weddings that are going to be interspersed in there. That's going to change up some of the other Pine City, Sam Bando weighing in with Pine City. That was
Pine City.
Yeah, Sam wants
Pine
to-
City.
Sam.
Back when I first met Bando, back when that group came down to turn back the clock.
Yep.
And they all got loaded pretty much. And I got invited. The one guy I talked to, he's a demo head. That was his team demo head, and super cool dude. And he told me the Derby, if you like Imperials and you like old Mopars, he says you have to come to Pine City. Come to Pine City. Come to Pine City.
Ed Down and I were just talking about that.
And every freaking year I log on to YouTube and I watch Pine City, and it's like, it's Dan Bolton's, dream place right there, because it's big block Mopars, Imperials, and the big block Mopars. He's a big block Mopar dude, and it's one of them places, that love to go to. Pine City's one of them I'd love to go to.
Another one that honestly that I would like to get out there, the opportunity to stream it live would be the Northeast Championship show in Brockton, because those guys out there, they're just such good dudes. I mean, you get to see Team Vermont, Duncan and Tommy Woodbury, and Zach Daniels, Mark Jones. Those guys, they all run out there. They won that team show out there 2 years in a row, and they've wasted some stuff.
I'm actually pretty shocked that they haven't had us out there.
Well, I mean, it's during the fair. You've got a lot more variables at play with that, and also they're paying out a lot of money. They're tight around budgets and stuff like that. So there's some variables that go into whether that would or wouldn't shake out. The other thing is you can't force somebody to want to stream a show. There's a lot of other variables.
Well, I'm not saying put them in a chokehold and say you're putting us out there. I'm just saying there's a lot of
cool,
there's a lot of people that
I think there'd be a lot of people that are into that build because it is so stock. I mean, it is stock. 80s and newer, cut off 1980. If the plate doesn't say 1980 on the fender, then it doesn't run.
Yeah,
simple as that.
It's a semi-stock show.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt.
But then,
that's you got to be very, very cautious, and this is where a lot of I think promoters get themselves in trouble because the way people define what the class is. Because I truly believe, I mean, if it's a stock show, then you know what, you're pretty much knocking the windows out of it, and and running it.
Yep.
You know, not doing anything.
Yep.
Street tires, everything else.
Street tires, battery under the hood,
Right.
stock linkage.
You know, semi-stock, super stock, that's a majority of the stock shows I've seen and read rules for. You know, there's no car that I know of that came from the factory with Moser axles in it.
Nope.
So how can you consider that a stock show? You know, so that's just my mindset, you know, reading into the rules, looking at rules and stuff like that, you know. So that's where promoters out there quit using stock. If it's not going to 100% stock, knock the windows out, quit using that term, because that's where they causes a lot of ass aches, you know, because it's you get the people that are true knock the windows out, they come to the show and they're like, well, what the hell? You know, this guy that's not stock. You know what? Just go to J&M.
Yeah. Well, there's the one we were talking about.
And they're not even stock.
No.
You know, so I mean, it's just the stock shit. I hate stock.
I know you do.
I hate the stock name.
You know, on the topic of stock, going the opposite way, there's some cool things that are coming down the line that we're looking to. We were talking about where we've been in 2015 and getting someplace new in 2016. One of the places, well, two for that matter, that we're looking at getting our county fairs that have, as you said, Ben, stepped up their game, looking at new dates, looking at new opportunities, looking at all sorts of wholesale changes to increase exposure and treat their shows as a standalone show that has a destination attached to it, which is the fair. You know, Livingston County Fair in Caledonia, they've got some major changes coming, and they've asked us to be part of it in some way, shape, or form. Obviously, the details of that have yet to be worked out, but it's something that we're exploring, something that, you know, would be cool. And then on top of that, we've talked about it a bunch of times, and people have been able to go online and watch it and check it out. And hopefully, that's one of the things that we're going to be able to do in January as we get past this holiday crunch with everything having to be completed. Is Dunkirk. We've been trying to work very close with Rick Kwarko and East Coast Promotions at getting that show out there, because we've got the opportunity where we've got 2 vantage points for the cameras that are right close to the track that you can see the whole venue from, and be able to park a table right there and do the whole thing right there trackside. And I think that would be a ton of fun, because there's so many good drivers out there and so many good builders out there that are that same kind of. I forgot how you termed it, Brian. We were talking about some of the cars that were in line that came with Bando's team to Blizzard Bash. They didn't have the high-end name brand stuff, but they had the same equivalent that was built, and it was effective. And those guys out there, they're doing the same thing. I mean, there's like some of the heaviest cars in the state run out there. There was one of the Imperials that ran 14 times.
Yeah.
Well, that's what Plate will do for you.
Yeah,
you know, that's
exactly what it is.
That's the bottom line of that. I mean, but you had Wolf on Bandow's team. He had ski cradle. He had a lot of ski parts on it. You know,
but the further back you got from the front of that line, the more homemade stuff there was. When those 4 cars were in order,
there was a ton of homemade stuff at Blizzard Bash.
Oh yeah,
it was very competitive.
Very nice.
It was very competitive. Stuff. And
but that's the one thing I love about our sport is that, you know, guys can compete at that level because they have talent. You know, they're, you know, you can't buy talent, and not just driving talent. You can't buy fab. You can't buy the knowledge. You can't buy the engineering. You know what I mean? It's some guys are just born with it, and some guys, you know, they can look at that and say, "Yep, I know what I got to build." You know, and they build it. There's guys.
My cousin, he's a lead engineer for ITT. You know, and in Xylem. Shit that we do on derby cars and stuff we come up on derby cars, he sits there and scratches his head.
Oh yeah.
and he's engineering multi-million-dollar pump systems for overseas and everything else. And he's like, who the hell came up with that?
Is he involved at all in hydraulic pumps?
What's that?
He ever get into anything with hydraulic pumps?
He's into any pump there is.
I got a phone number for him.
Yeah. But it's like Brian noted. I mean, there's people out making 6 digits a year as engineers that are scratching their head at the shit these guys, the derby world is doing. Same thing I say. I was screwing around the last couple of days. The truss systems for rear ends and stuff. Look at the rock crawlers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of people are converting that ingenuity and that design from a rock crawler into a derby car.
Yep.
You know, and it's and that's been going on for years. Slider drive shafts, rock crawlers, monster trucks, derby cars. You know, and it's just awesome how everything's coming together and everything's bonding with everything.
Yeah.
With the sponsors and everything else. I mean, who would have known years ago? We talked last year about Speedway Motors.
Yep.
You know, who would have ever known they would have been a big sponsor at big events? Napa, O'Reilly's. You know, it's just
No doubt.
I don't think I'm too far off. I mean, there's a few people that messaged me and said I was fucking goofy, but they're with comparing the demolition derbies and the Blizzard bashes with the tournament of destruction and Lucas Oil on the edge and everything else.
Yep.
I feel I'm not too far off of that.
Yeah.
Because the viewing audiences we have in the derby world it is right there with tournament of destruction, because the derby people are into the tournament of destruction too, you know, and I just feel in the next few years it's going to jump. Mm-hmm. It's going to make a big jump, and it's going to be wild.
You know, one thing I think would be cool? Be to go to England and do some banger races.
I
don't know. Cool. I don't know anything about the rules. I don't know anything but sit there close and watch two cars hit it 100 miles an hour right there. No, that would just be wild.
Them guys, you're truly freaking goofy.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
And they'll flat out tell you. You know, the one guy who's on there chatted a few years ago was like, "Jesus, you know, man, people ever get killed? Oh yeah, there's been fatalities in it. You know, and it's like,
oh yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Pay no attention. Pay no attention
guys,
to the hearse.
They're what I would say stock builders, because they flat out tell you, you know, that they're taking stock cars, putting $5,000 paint jobs on them, you know, going out there and hitting each other at 60, 70 miles an hour and just folding them up.
With that super cage around them.
They have the H cage on there with the plate.
Yep.
And he says it's just the natural crush zones of the cars. He goes, you start messing with them natural crush zones, then people are going to start to get hurt. Yep. And it's not just small ass cars. They got the kickback old iron races where they got freaking limousines out there, Hearses,
it's
freaking
crazy.
Imperials. They had Imperials out there. I'm like, you guys are fucking nuts. You know, we hit each other, you know, 25, 30 mile an hour. These guys,
they're really doing 40 and 50 when they
coming around the curve about 80, just whacked into the pile, seeing how far we could push it. You know, and it's like, insane. Holy Christ. You just sit there and watch the car just, the guy's in there just waving his hand out. Yeah, I'm done. Yeah.
Well, I don't understand it, but man, is it neat to watch.
It's scary.
You know, drink a few pints and go back for some more, I guess.
Warm pints, because that's the only way to take a lager.
Yes.
Hope I'll have to just stay with the rum.
But my hat's off to them guys. There's people that I mean, they've been taking a rash of shit for years, and it's like them guys got balls bigger than an elephant right there.
Oh yeah, those guys are nuts.
Yeah.
I bet you the whiskey there is unbelievable.
We would have to abide before we got on that plane that flies over the ocean for 4 or 6 or 8 hours, however long it is to get over there.
I'm with you on the whole going to another country thing. I'm with you there in terms of the bucket list thing, but I can't even get to Canada right now.
Oh, I can't either.
I can go to Canada. We're good.
So in terms of going to Great Britain, that's a great idea if you got a one-way ticket. But I mean, the idea of seeing somebody get killed.
Yeah,
I don't want that.
Nope.
But you're right though. With it would be neat. You know, there'd be another one of those elite opportunity things.
It's like I mean, when you look at some of these tracks and the stadiums, they call them, there's tens. There had thousands upon thousands of people. It's like going to Watkins Glen.
Oh yeah.
You know, we could bring them over here. Put them on Watkins Glen track. You can bang a race on Watkins Glen.
Yeah, imagine them coming down turn 1 at Watkins Glen.
You know?
Man, they would drive them right out to the road coming down that hill.
You know what I mean?
Between the hill and the 90,
put a comparison of spectators, you know, they're hardcore.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so they're like the riots in the soccer stadiums, you know. It's like freaking these guys are like, yeah, you're racing with that team, you know.
We've made this comparison with other stuff before. I mean, Blizzard Bash is certainly in that same ballpark, but that deal, I almost just shut my camera off. That deal there with what they have at the Banger Racing. I don't think Watkins Glen is a comparison. I think you're more along the lines of the Roman Coliseum. I think with the bloodletting and the
thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's just some wild.
Yeah,
shit
those guys are crazy.
Yeah.
Definitely respect them, but man, are they crazy.
Yep. But I think you could just about hit Montana. I could hit just about every state there is.
Oh yeah.
To go see a Derby. I mean, Montana.
Yep.
You know, Washington State, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska.
Yeah, I like
Nebraska is like Reimers and all them in Nebraska.
That's where Kenny Roswell's from. That's Kenny Roswell's home state.
Them guys, I remember watching videos from Nebraska. You know, back when I first started getting them, and you know, Grand Fury went out there in an Imperial heat with a mag. He got a crate motor from the Dodge dealership. That was one of the big. It was a big thing back then. The guy spent stupid money, got a crate motor from a Dodge dealership. Went out there, put it in a Grand Fury, Plymouth Grand Fury, in an Imperial heat and won. Wow. You know, so I mean, it's just. I'd love to get to Florida, to J.C. Molly's.
Yeah, I'd like to go out and hang out with
Decker
J.C. and
went
boys.
Down there. J.C. Molly's trying to do some awesome shit in Florida.
Yeah,
and I shared a post that I seen that J.C. Molly's putting on.
The 13th.
Yep. In
February, excuse me.
Yeah, it was Valentine's Day Massacre or something he's calling it. But
I think most of the Sciopa crew's heading down for that. I think Todd's going. I think
which makes me nervous.
Steve is going
about the name.
So that's
that's
just a good show.
Yeah, I mean, just what he's trying to do down there. You know, he's trying to bring it, and I hope. I hope we all get the opportunity to actually go down there to do one of his shows. And
that would be awesome.
So it turns out we've talked more about what we want to do in 2016 than actually looking back at 2015.
Well, you got to look at it this way. We've been talking about shit we've been doing all this year, all year long.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, it's like it's nice to look forward and see what's coming up. You know, New Year's Eve we'll be talking about all this. You know, we'll be talking about all the shows we've seen. You know.
Yep. We actually have this year for the year-end awards. We're giving out 2 new awards this year. So now the it's up to 14 for the year-end stuff. And this year I have envelopes that will be closed up. And on the back of it is all the notes. So each of 4 or 5 people will be discussed before each award's given out. Then we'll open the envelope and reveal who the winner is. So it'll be a little bit different.
Who picked the winner? You?
Well, I've asked you guys a couple times to stay after the shows, but nobody's been able to. So I just went through it. I went back and listened to shows and who you guys.
You got my number.
About. It's right here. But you never call me back.
Oh, Jesus.
No, the number of times that we've tried to discuss it, we've always done it on the show. So I was just able to go back through and pick everything out. I think everybody's going to be pretty happy. I know that on the show, there's been plenty of different times where we've agreed vehemently and we've disagreed vehemently. So at the end of it, there's going to be plenty of things for everybody to talk about at the party.
Yeah.
Now, has Josh prepared a speech for Driver of the Year yet, or have you let him in?
Josh isn't getting Driver of the Year.
Wow, I can't believe that.
Let me reiterate. Josh is not getting Driver of the Year.
I thought for sure he was in, man.
No, Josh is not getting Driver of the Year.
Do you know how many states he got Driver of the heavy hitter this year?
Who cares?
Oh, man.
That's not true. I'm actually being mean on purpose.
Okay.
He's not getting Driver of the Year, though.
Good.
You are.
Yeah.
because you helped get us home from so many derbies.
I did.
Is that fair?
I did.
You're not getting Driver of the Year either.
I did get us home for a couple. Ben did the majority of the driving, but I did some sharing with him. I know
Ben's not getting Driver of the Year either.
We were coming home from.
No, I got tickets.
I forgot about that.
Oh, I know. I think it was the last show that we all did together of Bose when we were all there, and we were coming up just about to get on 87, and Ben goes, "Are you ready to drive yet?" And I said, "Well, yeah. Why?" "I'm tired," and I'd never heard Ben say that before, so I'm pretty sure he'd been sleeping for 10 or 12 miles.
That's because we were literally driving on flat ground, and I thought I was going downhill. And I'm like...
You were asleep. Don't worry about it. We were okay. You were asleep.
I went from the left lane all the way to the right lane to the rumble strips. Now, this is on a 4-lane, so covered a lot of ground.
We covered some ground.
Don't remember crossing the line. So
Off we go.
it was one of them deals where, you know what? No, it's done. So, but I don't really.
That might have been Keystone Nationals, to be honest. I think that was Keystone Nationals.
July,
whatever one
right.
we had to drive straight
July
to
11th.
back
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yep. July the 11th. It was an adventurous time.
Here you go, Chris. Here's one for you.
We're just about out of time. What's up? What do you got?
We got like an hour left.
We got all of 15 minutes.
I got to do a bunch of cuts after we get done here because I didn't get in here on time.
Hey, that happens. You got to pay bills, too. You didn't play any of our commercials.
I know.
You want to pay the commercials, and we'll come back and talk?
Actually, we're pretty good on. Here we go. We got to cut to this one first. Let's do this, and then we'll be right back. Demo Derby Masters offers a wide array of stock derby parts and accessories that have all been derby tested. Demo Derby Masters also offers custom fabrication, meaning your homespun garage idea can become a finely produced reality. Their team of engineers and Demo Derby drivers have designed, manufactured, and derby tested all parts to ensure the quality and durability, even under the most extreme conditions. DemoDerbyMasters.com also carries a full line of helmets, fire suits, gloves, and belts, and Kaiser's own branded oils and fluids. Parts are manufactured, housed, and shipped out of their 140,000 square foot facility located in Coopersville, Michigan. Order online at DemoDerbyMasters.com or contact them by phone at 800-472-2464 or email info@DemoDerbyMasters.com. And we are back. I just wanted to make mention of a couple quick things. First and foremost, Smash It Demolition Derbies. We've talked about them quite a bit. Smash It joining on for the entirety of the 2016 season. We're going to be out there doing the pre-race, post-race stuff, trackside.
Maybe we can do all 47 demos with them.
I've already talked to them about the likelihood of that, and we both mutually agreed no. The simple reason being that a couple of them, there's 3 on one night, so we can't do all of them. Unless you wanted to go to one, but as soon as that conversation started, we just shut that right down.
Absolutely.
But awesome to have them on board. Going to be seeing
cool.
a ton of stuff with Smash. We'll be having them on a couple of times. I was hoping that Tim and or Russ was going to be able to make it up for New Year's, but things of course with the ebb and flow of the holidays and things like that, they're not going to be able to make it. But nonetheless, happy to have them on board.
Very happy.
What more is there to say? Bash for Cash. Chillicothe, Ohio. 3 days, $10,000 to the compacts being paid out on Sunday. The light truck's back on the card Friday night, so it's a full 3 days of action in addition to all day long with the inspections and stuff. It's a grueling process for those guys, so happy to be back there. It looks like we're going to be camped out right next to Big Rock again, which I'm looking forward to. And all signs are pointing to the RC Derby coming back, so I will be able to finally have the opportunity again to compete at Bash for Cash. Hopefully I will not be eliminated by what would be a 9-year-old next year. And odds aren't in favor of it. Anyway, Brian, you're about to say we do have a couple more things to hit there quickly. Go ahead.
What was your personal highlight of this year?
I need to, if we're going to do that, I need to come back and finish our drops first. Winter Slam coming up on the 13th of February. Excited to be making our way back out there. It is sold out. That is outstanding.
Sold out driver-wise. Fans, come on in.
Fans, they've got more porta potties, and they've got, more importantly, they've got more vendors, and above all else, they have the
Heated beer tent,
yes, which is a full-service, basically a full-service bar. You can get rum chadas and Jack Daniels and your hot cocoa. It's incredible. And to stand on our side of the track and look at all the people that are filling that aluminum grandstand when it was a balmy 33 degrees out, which was way better than last year. Yeah, it was awesome, wasn't it? It was almost too warm, but then they fixed the track. It is a show that you have to experience firsthand, in person. Check it out. It is absolutely awesome. You can jump online. There's a whole group, Winter Slam, on Facebook. You can find out more about lodging, Best Western coming on board, all sorts of rooms and stuff available. More announcements coming with that on Thursday.
I was going to say probably Thursday's a good night.
I anticipate finalizing all of that stuff as well. Of course, Capital Carnage. If you're looking for something to do in April, shake off spring fever, you can go hang out at the hockey arena one more time.
And then how about Capital a month later? A month, almost to the day, a month later.
Bash for
Cash.
Right, yeah. Not bad, right?
That doesn't get that doesn't get much better than that.
And then, Capital Carnage Ultimate Derbies return in the spring for the indoor show at Topeka. $30,000 to win, field limited to 100 cars. They had a huge kick-in from I think it was Prairie Band Casino, and then Travel Topeka, has jumped in a ton. The boost of the economy is well worth the investment in their eyes, and that is a huge boost to Demolition Derby as a whole. So jump online. Capital City Carnage, UltimateDerby.com also has information on it. You can find it on Facebook. Finally, Kings of Old School. Again, that's coming up June 11 and 12 is the second edition of, well, it would be the third edition of Kings of Old School, second of the spring. They're going to be back at the Broome County Fairgrounds, and then the team show moved up to September 4th and 5th, Labor Day weekend. That's going to be at Walton. Sounds like there's a ton of interest with that, so congratulations as that continues to take form. That is... trying to remember it, kingsofoldschool.net. They've got their own dedicated website now. You can jump on there. Rules have already been posted, and we're sitting right around the corner from when entries for that stuff open. I believe what was posted is entries are going to open on the 20th of February for everybody that's pre-registered, if I've got that correct. They may even be backing that up earlier because there's so many people knocking down the door that are trying to get in. They're almost being forced to open things up. So response has been real strong for Kings of Old School. So we got Smash It, we got Kings of Old School, Winter Slam, Capital Carnage. All of these are going to have dedicated ad spots once we roll out for the first of the year because we're still working on yet more stuff to lay out for next year. So we're just going to do the facelift of the show all at one time, rolling out for the first of the year. Now, you were asking.
Your personal highlight from the crash course for 2015.
My highlight.
Your highlight.
From 2015.
2015.
Was December the 28th. Because at that point, I only had 4 roof signs to do. Everything else had been caught up. Damn it. Nope. Never mind. I forgot. We're not all caught up. Still got one more thing to do. Never mind.
Wow.
No. In terms of a highlight, I don't know, man. It was... seeing Jim win at Dunkirk was pretty special. Seeing him win there was awesome. That was a big deal for that whole family, and that was really special to be a part of that. The Elman family as a whole, and Team Nasty Dogs, who you just swore that they hated each other on the track. The way that the blue and white cars were going after the black and orange cars all week at the Chautauqua County Fair, you just thought that they hated each other. And Al Kern built a trophy that was dedicated in the memory of, it was like the Broken Crank Award was the name of it. They dedicated that in the memory of Chad Elman. And they did that citing not solely Demolition Derby, but role in the community. Are you a positive influence on what you do? Are you somebody that can be looked up to? Do you drive hard? Do you embody everything that Chad did? I mean, Chad would be working on a customer car, getting ready to go out for a tow, and one of the kids across the street would have a flat tire on their bike, and Chad would stop what he was doing at the Elman Garage in Dunkirk and fix their bike before he went out on the tow for a paying customer.
That's cool.
That's who Chad was. Chad would take, he would take the Pensac kids with him on a ride when he went to go pick up a junk car or something like that. Nothing that's going to put the kids in harm's way or anything, but still, they got to ride with him. They looked up to this. They looked up to Chad. So this had to embody everything. And they gave it to the Nasty Dogs team as a whole, given what they had done through the course of the week and their efforts for to essentially destroy everything in their path, including each other. So that was pretty cool. And then they turn around and they do something like that, and I've never seen a car more guided than Jim Elman's. I mean, the Imperial that he had there, and I know Hank Pensac hates it when I bring it up. It was a $400 junkyard motor, and that thing just kept restarting, and he took a bad shot in the right rear corner that would have ruined anybody else's night. And not only did it flatten the right rear tire and knock it off, it dimpled the rim, it turned the rim into a paddle, and was able to still get around. And he went toe-to-toe with that Crown Vic time and time again. And every time it would die, and he would limp it forward like 15 feet and make active contact, and it kept the clock going. It's the way that they scored all along. You can be wailed on. As long as you're getting wailed on, the clock never starts. So you have all that time that you're getting pounded while they're backing up and getting ready for another shot to try and get your car to refire. And sure enough, that thing did. And just as the shot clock expired, Corey Neer got his car to refire. So who knows how that thing would have ended if Jimmy hadn't put it in park when he did and waited, and he came away with the win. I mean, you can't You can't fault any of that, you know.
Well,
So I think that ranks right up there. And then, of course, I mean, the other highlight with that would be, you know, Team Weston. What more do you need to say?
Yeah.
That kid grabbed hold of our microphones and took over the show, and he loved it. And then he got to go for a ride. You know, Jimmy took him for a ride in the Razor, and then he got to drive the car out, and he was on the hood of the car flexing for everybody to see. And then Andy Robinson also gave him the microphone, and he got to call a couple heats from trackside, from his seat in the grandstands, and you know,
and he didn't want to give that back.
He did not.
No,
he was not interested.
He was ready to run the show, which was great.
Yeah, great.
The kid was in super high spirits, and you know, and it's great. I'm glad just that short amount of time to give him.
What I didn't know when all that was happening was Weston's parents were thinking that he was getting so tired. They were concerned about getting him too wore out and put him into a red zone where he could put his, you know, possibly have a seizure, could get, you know, make himself ill. They weren't going to bring him back, and then they weren't going to stay. But not only did they bring him back, but they did stay, and he got to see the whole thing front to back. And he was down there in the Victory Lane pictures after Blizzard Bash with his team. I mean,
that was very cool.
That was his team.
That kid probably didn't sleep for a day.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know, I mean, that adrenaline boost and just. It was just awesome. It was an awesome deal.
I mean, we had a lot of people this year that came on board and helped with advertising. You know, Overkill, obviously, Ultimate Derby. We had
E2, Elvis.
E2. How can you forget Elvis? Elvis was a huge part of making sure that those live streams stayed available to everybody all summer long. I think at the final count at the end of the day, we were at 30 derbies this year between February and November.
Really?
Yeah. And then, I mean, we could factor in the ones where not everybody got to go. Like Ben went to derbies that I didn't go to on particular nights and brought information back. And Josh went to derbies I didn't go to and brought information back. And Brian watched stuff online. Nothing, huh? Got crickets on that one.
No.
No, I'm agreed. Yep. We did some traveling.
But it was a fun year. We got and we got more to come. I mean, there's more to come. Stay tuned Thursday. Tease a couple of the things. Here tonight we're going to be live at 8:00 Eastern. And
so that means you want to start by 7:55?
I'm going to probably be getting there around noon.
Yeah,
because I want to.
What time's dinner?
Dinner's going to be right around 7:15, 7:30 because we got to give them time to make sure that the wedding party's taken care of first. Get them all squared away, and then they'll bring our stuff out. So it'll be right in that time frame. Open bar will go live at 8:00 because I want to make sure that you guys are all sober for the show.
Yeah,
an open bar.
I'll get there about 8.
Open bar is 4 hours. This is exactly what was outlined on the show post. Open bar goes from 8 to midnight. We've got the champagne toast at midnight, and so yeah, it should be pretty good. It should be a good time.
It's always fun doing the show in front of a live audience.
My favorite part is when it doesn't start right, and you've got all these eyes staring at you, just waiting for you to fix it somehow.
You mean like that one time in Topeka, Kansas, where the stuff wasn't going right, and there was 2,500 people looking at us, wondering why the show wasn't going on and what was going on,
and Chris helped them fix the problem.
And Chris helped them fix it, like that.
I was thinking more like when we were at the banquet. And it just didn't launch. I don't know what happened, but it didn't launch, and there was just nothing, and everybody standing around. What are you waiting for? You know, you asked about my most memorable moment of the year. Jefferson County Fair in Brookville, Pennsylvania, when our live stream was kicked off for playing the national anthem. That was memorable.
Wasn't it the first Brookville show where? This past summer, the Super Nationals or Spring Nationals, right before we were set to go on, you like started checking stuff and nothing was working.
Oh, we got the update.
Yeah,
the update
like right before, and then somehow, just as they were getting ready to do the national anthem, Chris was like, "It's working," and handed the microphone to Melanie Hansen, and she started singing it. I think that's how we went on air, was with her singing the national anthem.
Uh-huh. You want to know something funny? Jim asked me about that when we got back. He goes, "Why didn't you use the show open for that?"
Good question. Yeah.
Let me explain.
That was crazy. Yeah, there's times like that we all just kind of step back out of Chris's personal space and let him work on that because we don't have a clue what he's doing.
When that got cut, I saw it cut. I saw it drop. and it wouldn't let us back into YouTube. And once you get cut like that, you're locked out of YouTube for a bit. It's about 10 minutes or so. And my phone, it sounded like a vibrator. Just going nuts. I'm like, oh, God, this isn't good. This is not good. Going crazy. My Facebook, just there's like 35 messages across the bottom. Pling, pling, pling. And, of course, every time one comes up on the computer, it also goes off on my phone.
Yep.
Just in case I need to be reminded that things aren't working right. It's like, it's just black. I don't see it. It's not working. I know. I know. I'm here.
Good thing you just didn't pay $40 for it.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, it's,
No
I don't know if
doubt.
that really slows down the people that are upset. People want to see it. I mean, Derby people want to see it, whether they pay nothing or whether they pay $50. They want to see it.
Yep.
And, Stoneboro, I think Stoneboro was the worst because we went into it knowing that it was unproven, that it was suspect, it was spotty. I mean, we had a better chance. This is how rough it was. We had a better chance of live streaming Winter Slam than we did Stoneboro
Really?
once
Yeah.
we got there.
Wow, I didn't know that.
It was slow, and then it picked up after a while.
And the second night, we didn't even bother trying. Didn't even bother, and we uploaded everything after the fact, and people were upset that the video quality was poor. Well, the thing is, the local recording was never meant for a stream speed.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to record it, and keep it lightweight. So if we do end up doing a DVD of some sort, if somebody wants it, we can cut it quick, and it's gonna look presentable. It'll be okay because you can always go pull it up on your TV or on your computer. But yeah, so that's a couple of things that I didn't miss about last year. But as it were, so we hit everything we needed to hit. Got more stuff coming as we get closer to it.
As the crow flies.
Yep. I'm excited. It's been a fun year.
It has been a pretty cool year.
We'll have a little bit more fun before it's over.
A little bit.
So I think that'll
More
do
fun next year.
it. Yeah.
Always more fun.
Always more to be had. But for everybody that has helped Crash Course Podcast, this is the final studio episode of 2015. Hopefully everybody had a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Wish everybody a Happy New Year. Hopefully you're tuned in with us. We go live Thursday night at 8 o'clock. No 31st lap this week because we basically kicked them out. And we're going to be live. We'll hang out with you for an hour or so.
Should have brought Mel
Give
at
away
the party with the Derby guys. We didn't
I've,
know what was up.
I've invited him 10 times, and he just doesn't even write back.
He's scared.
He might be.
He's scared.
He may
Those
be.
sickle track guys can't run with the big dogs.
He hasn't been on the 31st lap in close to 6 weeks.
Really?
Yeah. He's got a rough schedule. He's doing the off season stuff now, running all the indoor shows and going to all the banquets and stuff.
Oh,
so he's
yeah.
been absolutely buried with travel, and his schedule's been pretty rough.
Did you
so.
say buried?
Buried?
There you
Buried.
On the Thursday night. Let's go.
Yep. All right. That'll do it. We're done. Are we done?
We're done.
Anything else? Final thoughts? No? Okay.
No,
All right. That'll do it.
Start swearing a lot.
Well, you already did a couple times, but that's okay. I don't even think anybody keeps track of that anymore.
I don't think so.
That's Kristen.
The Crash Course Podcast is brought to you in part by DerbyParts.com. The 2015 Wadena Grand Slam. Boat Lockwood Motorsports and the 2015 Keystone National. Scioppa Racing and ScioppaRacing.com. Ultimate Derby and Blizzard Bash 2015. Demo Derby Masters. Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel at RecklessAbandonGear.com. And Derby Inc. Magazine. Live it, breathe it, be it, Derby Inc. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York.